It's a great day to be in real estate. This is Duanebeisner, sales manager and sales representative for ERA Real Estate. For the quote of the day, don't say you don't have enough time. You have exactly the same number of hours per day that were given to Helen Keller, Louis Pasteur, Michelangelo, Mother Teresa, Leonardo da Vinci, Thomas Jefferson, and Albert Einstein by H. Jackson Brown, Jr. And for the joke of the day, a mechanic was removing a cylinder head from the motor of a Harley motorcycle when he spotted a well-known heart surgeon in his shop. The surgeon was there waiting on the service manager to come and take a look at his motorcycle. The mechanic shouted across the garage, "Hey Doc, can I ask you a question?" The surgeon, a bit surprised, walked over to the mechanic working on the motorcycle. The mechanic straightened up, wiped his hands on a rag, and asked, "So Doc, look at this engine. I open its heart, take the valves out, fix them, put them back in, and when I finish it works like new. So how come I get such a small salary and you get the really big bucks when you and I are basically doing the same work?" Well, the surgeon paused, smiled, leaned over, and whispered to the mechanic, "Try doing it with the engine running." And now for the business tip of the day. When teaching and coaching groups by teleconference, you have 4 types of people in the class. First, the smart and the aggressive. 2, the smart and the shy. 3, the lazy and the smart. 4, the lazy and the slow. To make sure they all learn, occasionally call out the names of the ones not responding to your questions. Think about it. And now for the Darwin Award of the day. This one's called Double Parking from the Philippines in 2009. You know what? This small island has already produced several of the most illustrious Darwin Award winners, like illustrious blunders when the National Bureau of Investigation agents basically lit up cigarettes in a room full of seized explosives, and homegrown parachute where an airline hijacker robs passengers and then bails out with an untested homemade parachute. Now the Philippines have produced a very rare oddity, the Double Darwin Award. We begin with Francisco and Fernando, 2 businessmen who own restaurants adjacent to one another. Their tempers erupt over a poorly parked car. One has partially blocked the door to the other's establishment, and this does not sit well. Heated words are exchanged, a fist fight breaks out, bystanders pacify the fighters, and the situation is diffused. Or is it? Each man retreats to his respective car, pulls out a gun, and shoots the other, killing both. Fernando suffered 2 bullet wounds to his chest. Ronaldo was shot once beneath his arm. So Fernando, 41, and Ronaldo, 39, are 2 enemies brought together in death, much to their chagrin. How about the social commentary? Remember, we have been covering the Achieve a Winning Attitude in 6 easy steps, and today is step 3, which is get daily positive input. It's easier to achieve and maintain a positive attitude if you have a library of positive thoughts in your head, so that you can draw upon them if the day doesn't go exactly as you prefer. Starting each day reading or listening to something positive helps ensure that you have such a library to draw upon. Consider reading an inspirational book right after you wake up. You might also want to spend your commute listening to motivational tapes rather than the news, for instance. Along these lines, don't forget that music is a time-honored way to manage your moods and attitudes. Consider investing in MP3 files or CDs of music that you find motivating and energizing. Use it to pump yourself up right before your big meetings or cool down when things get challenging. Use your imagination to find new ways to pump positive thoughts and feelings into your head. Set a target of at least 15 minutes a day. If you commit more time than this, you'll get more benefits, of course. And for the real estate news, this one's entitled, "Housing, Is It Different This Time?" It's the Housing Crash 2.0 Factor Fission. This was a great article from Barron's that explains why this housing crash and recession/depression are not like anything our country's ever experienced before. For the few remaining real estate Pollyannas, those that are calling for a V-shaped recovery for housing and a fast rebound in home sales, think again. If you want to know why this economic cycle is different, in a single word, it would be housing. Where housing was the spark that lit every post-World War II recovery, this time it's the wet blanket that's damping a rebound. In every other cycle, the Federal Reserve monetary tightening would raise mortgage rates and curtail credit to curb inflation, which would help precipitate a sharp slowdown in housing activity. But as soon as the Fed relented, the resulting drop in interest rates invariably would let loose the pent-up demand from prospective home buyers who had been held back by tight credit. And in recent cycles, lower rates allowed homeowners to cash in by refinancing their current loans, which lowered their payments or let them take cash out of their house. Indeed, financial crises would provide windfalls for anybody looking for a new mortgage or to refinance, from the crash of 1987 to the long-term capital management blow-up in 1998 to the dot-com bust of 2000. The ensuing bond rally and plunge in interest rates quickly accrued to the benefit of prospective mortgage borrowers, and housing would respond in time. Not this time. Even after the biggest financial and economic crisis since the 1930s, notwithstanding 30-year fixed-rate mortgages below 5% right now, sharply reduced house prices, and government incentives such as tax credits for new or for first-time and certain other home buyers, sales of new homes are depressed, while those of existing dwellings also remain in the doldrums. Moreover, the Fed bought $1.25 trillion of mortgage-backed securities to help bolster the supply of most of the mortgage credit. And also, since the end of the $8,000 tax credit from the federal government on April 30th, housing activity seems to be slumping even further. The National Association of Home Builders monthly gauge of confidence in new home sales plunged in May to 17 from 22 in April, putting the index close to its recession benchmark. Meanwhile, the Mortgage Bankers Association reported last week mortgage applications to purchase new homes had plummeted 35% since expiration of that homebuyer tax credit at the end of April. That put mortgage applications at their lowest level since 1997. And by the time you hear this, the government probably will have reported May's housing starts, which likely fell back to about 650,000 annual rate from the 672,000 in the preceding month. Yet despite this drop in mortgage rates and prices, housing isn't as affordable as implied by the standard measures, according to the Harvard's Joint Center for Housing Studies. In its State of the Nation Housing Survey, it noted 1 in 7 homeowners owed more on their mortgages than the houses were worth. Seriously delinquent loans were at a record high, and foreclosures topped $2 million. Meanwhile, the share of households spending more than half their incomes on housing was poised to reach new heights as income slid. The strength of job growth is now the key to how quickly loan distress subsides and how fully housing markets recover, according to the study. And not only are the incomes under pressures, but so are the consumers' balance sheets, writes Steve Blitz, the senior economist for Majestic Research. The ratio of households' net worth to income peaked along with home prices in 2007. And now they've basically plunged with help from the stock market and other issues. So that's pretty much it for today. This is Duanebeisner wrapping up. Always proud to be an American. Thank you for listening, and happy trails to you.